As a beginner developer, it's easy to adopt the bad habit of writing long lists of code that basically does it all, just like frying every single sandwich one by one in the frying pan, when you can put them in a function that does it for you. If you can see that a part of your code has a specific functionality or could be easily described as a concept, then it's a really good idea to break that out into a function, because then you could reuse it other places in your code. Procedure and functions are one of the greatest tools in programming. Used correctly, they will make you a lot more productive in your work. My name is Johan Brodfeldt. I've been a developer for 25 years, 15 of those in the DataFlex community, and I'm here to help you build awesome applications using DataFlex. Let's begin. DataFlex is one of those languages that make use of both function and procedure. And the main difference is that procedure do not have a return value. There's also a third method you can use in DataFlex called procedure set. And I encourage you to look it up in the documentation. I'm not going to do too much of it here, but it has to do with setting and getting properties from objects. We might look into that more in the future. If you want me to dive deeper into it, please write a comment in the section below. But is there a reason to use procedures instead of function, as you can have functions that does not return anything? Well, it is a way to describe if the method is supposed to return anything. So I guess it helps a little bit with readability, but I also think it has something to do with how the object is called regarding if it's a function or a procedure. If you read the documentation, it says a function is used whenever you require a return value, whereas procedures are useful for implementations of events. Though you do not get an error if you omit the function return command in a function, I would consider that a bad practice. There is also a procedure return command, but it is only used to break out of a procedure before you reach the end procedure. Writing a global procedure or function that is used by a class will break that class encapsulation, making it more complicated to reuse the class in other programs. So in order to avoid that, you should try to find the right place to put functions and procedures inside of the object structure, if possible. We can create a procedure test that takes a string as an input, and when we call it, that string is displayed on the screen. If the procedure is inside an object, we just add off object name to access it. If you want a procedure to modify a value, you can send it using byref. Then you call it using an ampersand character, and it will modify your local variable. So that is pretty much as having a return value from a procedure, but it doesn't return anything. When calling a function, you have to include a returns type, and you can pass variables using byref to a function as well. There are some cases where you want to add default values to your input parameters so that you do not have to set them on every call. This can be done by checking how many parameters was included in the call using the built-in variable num arguments. There's another way to call functions, and that is using expressions, which can come in handy for writing shorter code, and the function return value return the same way you would read a value from a variable. Word of caution here as well. Though making your code shorter is a good thing and often leads to more readable code, this also have the effect that you're hiding a lot of logic. So giving a function a clear name, stating what it does, is a really important thing to keep in mind. Otherwise, this is a way of hiding things that might be important for other developers to know when they skim your code. Procedures do not return a return value, but you can have them update data using byref. Num arguments is a built-in variable that is used to check how many parameters was passed into it. If you feel like making a function global, think again and really consider if this function has a place inside the object structure before you write that code. Procedures and functions are real time savers if you make sure to give them good names that describe what they're doing. Now I think you're ready for a challenge, and today I would like you to read some code that you've made and see if there is some piece of that code that you could break out into a function to make your code more readable. Write in the comments below if you figure something out and have any questions. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. See you next time.